Hi everybody, it's Sarah with Ampersand Unique Gifts and Home Decor. So in the true fashion of reclaiming my space, cleaning my basement, here are some thrift flips for you from the stash. Okay, so today I have several simple flips that are items as we continue to work through the stash in my basement. So this was a simple tray. It's like one of those ones that you can get at Hobby Lobby, Michael's, maybe the Dollar General, I'm not sure, but it was just a unpainted, unfinished tray that I have painted with the DIY Cottage Color Haint Blue. It has a built-in sealer, so there's no need to seal it. And we are going to add an IOD transfer and give it a nice new spring life. So here we go. The transfer is bigger than the tray, so we're going to just see if we can't wrap it up on the sides rather than cut it. I was trying to decide. I think I would rather do that than cut it. So we'll go ahead and pull our backing off. Careful not to stick it on anything. I want my flower in the center. And then I'm going to start with the plastic stick that comes with it. And I'm going to start on the part that is in the corner. And once the transfer is applied, we're going to use the DIY liquid patina and crystal clear chandelier to seal it in. Okay, so our next project, we're going to continue with our transfers, putting more of those beautiful flowers on this wood round that is from the Dollar Tree. It has been painted, and then I have this beaded wreath, and we're going to hang that, and let's get started. Okay, those of you that are big bow makers may cringe during this part and just want to fast forward because you're looking at somebody who's had to watch the 2-finger bow tutorial a dozen times to figure out how to do that. So this is just how I self-taught myself to make a bow. I figure out the size that I want and the size that I want my loops, and I look at my first piece and then I cut it and use it as a template to cut however many pieces I'm going to make depending on how big my bow is or how much ribbon I have. So I'm going to cut all of those the same size. I'm going to find the middle. I'm going to put them together. The very top one I flip upside down so that you can't see the pieces where it hooks together in the middle. And then I find the middle of it, wrap a twist tie around it, but don't tie it tight because I'm going to stick the tail in there. And then I tighten it once it's there. And then I've cut dovetails in the end. This one has a really short tails because I didn't want it to hang down over top of my round. And I'm going to fluff it up, cut some little extra pieces if I needed to, if I had too much in the middle. But this is my bow. Voila! Okay, to put a hole in here, I'm going to use this little handheld drill just so I don't have to go outside and get one. And just you apply a little bit of pressure and turn it, and it will put a hole right through there. Then I'm going to take a ribbon using an upholstery needle. I'm going to poke it through the hole, and that gives me my ribbon to hang it. And then I will find the spot where I want to actually tie it into my beaded wreath and figure out, how far down it needs to be. And then I will tie it on. And then I'm just going to hook my bow with another zip tie to the wreath. Next up, I have a little shelf that I picked up at Goodwill. I think it is actually handmade. I painted the inside white with DIY white linen just to give it a brighter look so that my decoupage paper was very clear. I measured out what section I wanted in there, and then using that same DIY liquid patina, it's my favorite decoupage medium, and I put a healthy coat inside there, and then I'm going to go ahead and put my paper in where I've cut the edges. When I measured it, I just set it in there and used my fingernail to press down around the edge, and then when I pulled it out, I cut along those lines. And so here I make sure that it's all pressed down with no bubbles. You can use saran wrap if that way you don't tear it with your fingers. And I wait until it dries before I put the top coat on. So I like to, you know, go ahead and make sure that it's glued in there very well, and then I'm going to come back after it's completely dried and add that in there. To give it a nice antiquing look, especially where I sanded around the edges of the wood, I'm going to water down some of that Waverly Antique Wax, and I'm going to give it an all-over coat, including the decoupage paper inside. Alright, so our last project is this cute little wall pocket that I actually didn't even realize was navy blue until I was down here in the light. I thought it was black when I picked it up at Goodwill, but it was $1.49, and somebody has glued or decoupaged this cute chicken on the front, except that you can see the edge where the paper ends, and they've covered it with gold, but we're going to just fix it up a little bit using the IOD Trimmings 1 mold. So we're going to use this with the IOD Air Dry Clay, and we're going to create an edge to wrap around there. So the very last step is we're going to cover this little wall pocket with 2 coats of the Fancy Farm Girl. This is Debbie's Design Diary DIY paint. And I'm going to cover this and the little frame that we put on there. And I didn't do any kind of distressing or anything. It gave great full coverage. And in order to get the frame without painting on the little picture, I did use a little fine paintbrush. And then when it was all finished, I used this Behr Wax in clear. It was the wax that I had handiest, but it is a little chunky. It's kind of old. So after I covered everything, including the picture really well, I went back and wiped off all that excess with just a paper towel. It came right off and still gave it that great full overall coverage. The next and last step is to use this golden rule. And this is from Debbie's Design Diary, and it is amazing, this gold gilding wax. I didn't go for necessarily a complete coverage, but I did paint all over that little frame that we had put on there, and I just love the way it brought that gold back out that the original wall pocket had, and it just really finished it up. So I love how this turned out. I hope that you do too. Check out the reveal.